the parent can't and won't forget or forgive themselves. They're so busy meting out beatings and traumas on their children that when they grasp the enormity of their cruelty, the enormity of their inhumane behavior to their children, they can't deal with it. They start beating themselves up so much they can no longer care for the child, which means the child often hides the truth simply to avoid this dynamic. Too much pain gets dumped on the empathic and the transcendent brain. And in the process of doing so becomes that relief that I felt when I completely dissociated and felt the euphoria of no association emotionally. It takes a tremendous amount of pain and a tremendous amount of cruelty to induce that state and sustain it in a child. That cruelty that inhumanity is around us in spades. When there are many more reptiles than there are empaths interacting, and many more people giving the pain to the empath, it becomes far more likely that the empath descends into a reptilian environment. And it takes some fair amount of sophistication to recognize the empathic loads we're capable of carrying. In other words, the infant needs to learn something from the parent as well. The infant needs to learn how and where the cult is sociopathic and what to do about it. Don't tell people this news because you will be teased by the reptilian agent in that group. You realize that if you fall in love with a girl at 5 years old and you're around empaths who are psychologically literate, this is an exciting moment and treated with respect. When you're around envious, cynical, vicious reptiles, this is the moment when they can inject the most pain. Let's humiliate them at the moment they're most vulnerable, because we're reptiles, and that will confer fear. Meaning, in the reptilian dominance hierarchy, fear is the god, and the one who can inflict the most pain is the most feared. That's the reptilian hierarchy. So the bully, the teacher, the parent, they're all high deities in the fear cult. You don't do this, we'll hit you. If you don't do that, we'll send you to your room. You don't do this, it's all fear. And you gain rank by being able to terrify someone. And as you gain rank, you are treated with more deference. We're all afraid of fear. We're all afraid of pain. The pain is the sociopathic edict. The law of mass is the governor. And so whoever has the highest rank and the most mass will inflict the most fear on people who do not agree, who do not comply. And whoever wants the sanction of the alpha will kowtow. That's why the human species invents the fourth. You have fight, flight, freeze, and please. The fawn protocol of the ass-licking enabler who has no rank themselves, but plays a very important role as the little dog that champions the abuser, that cheers on the victim, cheers on the abuse, the wannabes of the sociopathic cool one. You know, you're the coolest, we want to be cool, and you'll let us tail along and take your shit if, you know, the Draco Malfoy, you know, we'll let Crabbe and Goyle come along as long as they always enable the alpha, because they're not going to do very well as a surviving, secure member of the species without alpha protection. So you have fight, flight, freeze, and please. The fawn aspect. But it is a momentous terrain, this question. Do we make the transition to synergy? Synergy is the fruit, the reward for stabilizing the transition of groups of people moving towards empathy. There is a tremendous mathematical field that is possible when everyone in the circle is operating from the empathic brain with trust and trustworthiness, which is the ecological brain. That's the moment we stop becoming cancer on the planet. It's the moment the species survives. It's the moment we get to be human beings. And it takes a certain amount of warmth, a certain amount of critical mass to make that transition from the reptilian to the empathic brain. And the mediating terrain is reason, is stalemate, is negotiation. I'll do this for you if you do this for me. We're both reptiles, but there's areas where our interests line up. We're reptiles, but we're self-interested reptiles. We're competent reptiles. And this works for me and that works for you, and so we'll partner. We'll both bully, you know, we'll team up. Let's get Bank of America and Merrill lined up to both gather the money and spend the money in a way that makes us even richer than just being two big reptiles alone. By blurring the line and the roles between, are we operating now? See, now I'm operating as your banker. Now I'm operating as your investing advisor. Anytime I want to tell you to do something good for the bank and terrible for you, I'll wear this hat, and I'll just pivot my chair slightly and wear this hat when I want to do this. And we'll create loads of money for the people who need it least, our shareholders. Loads of money at the expense of the people we're supposedly in business to provide a service to. So that pivot towards empathy it requires a rising temperature, and the difficult thing is doing it alone. 5 empaths can keep the temperature humming. The trouble is that 5 reptiles cannot get together to form a trustworthy synergy out of empathy. Because each reptile, each reptilian brain is dissociating from too much pain. So there's a challenge. The challenge of 3, the challenge of 5. Even 3 people in our cult coming with respect, with honor to this terrain, willing to build the framework, the container, to provide heat in the relationship. Even 3 people can do it. 5, it's pretty easy. But the reptilian brain is filled with messages of dissociation, filled with the dogma of the individual, with the cult of the individual. I don't really feel like telling you what's on my mind today. I just want to do what I feel. I don't want to attune to the field. I know we said we'd do that before, but I've changed my mind. 5 dissociated individuals managing their pain without psychological literacy cannot hold the field. It's one of the biggest technology deficits, meaning it is the technology that can transform the planet, this movement into the empathic brain, and the trustworthiness to sustain it, because that's the trick. As you go into your reptilian environment, the pain in the way that other people are treated and how you are treated in those environments shuts down empathy. As you shut down empathy, you feel better, but now you become a reptile to your friends. It's the reason that I'm so interested in 10x living, is a hub, an environment that is warm enough, that is high enough on the empathic, sociopathic spectrum of temperature to allow the bud of the species, the bud of the planet to blossom into empathy, into transcendence. It is our honor to touch this possibility. It is our curse that the intelligence level that it took us to create all this pain is inadequate to even grasp what to do and navigate 5 people into the brilliance, into the synergy of empathy. That's all it takes.